All right. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Heat Check Live Beat Review Show. And this is the 1 year anniversary show, guys. Can you believe that? 1 year. Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. 1 year of giving you guys free game. Man, this information took me a lifetime to get, but it's very important that I give back to the community in any way that I see fit. Whether it's the free gems on my YouTube videos, the podcast, these live streams, the loops, anything I could do to give back to you guys definitely keeps me happy, and I'm glad to have been here for 1 whole year, man. This is crazy. Time really does fly, and it's taught me a lot. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be making a YouTube video on just some of the lessons I've learned from running this live beat review show for the past year. I think there's a lot of good information that people can get from that. Absolutely. Shout out to you, Millie. Shout out to you, Millie. Millie is in the chat. Millie has definitely been a consistent submitter here on the Heat Check, and I've actually seen him grow as a producer bit by bit, and that's one of the main things that drive me here. There's a lot of misinformation on the internet, and sometimes that misinformation can spread quickly, and that's part of the reason why I do this Heat Check Live Beat Review show. And my conclusions are reinforced by asking certain questions by some of my guests on my Made in the Studio podcast. So I know that I'm not tripping, that there's misinformation out there. How I'm thinking is correct, and I'm always able to speak to those in the game to, reinforce that I'm not just talking out my behind. So yeah, the show wouldn't be possible without you guys. So this show, I'm doing a prize. Two $50 Amazon gift cards for the two top producers on this show. So we're going to do it like that. What's going to happen is I'm going to pick a winner. I'm going to pick a producer. Then also I'm going to create a poll for the audience so you guys can pick a winner too. So I'll have one, you guys will have one, so that way we'll be fair, and I'll just kind of keep my answer down here on my notepad so I don't poison the data. I don't poison the well with my opinion. So definitely that's how we're gonna do that this show. So yeah, I'm real happy, man. I'm real happy. So yes, and speaking of the Made in the Studio podcast, I have a few guests. We're working out the schedule, man. People are moving and grooving. We book here, then sometimes people got to switch stuff around. So I want you guys to know the podcast is still here, just working out times and schedules with the guests and my schedule. It can be a bit challenging, but I'm here. We're working it out, and I'm 100% sure the information we're gonna get is gonna be well worth the wait. But you guys should expect at least two podcast episodes a month, and I'm gonna fight to make sure I get those two for May. So shout out to all the guests. Yes, the introvert. What's going on? The introvert. Yes, I definitely appreciate you for being here. I got your submission, got Millie's submission. So yeah, let me go ahead and just get started. So welcome to the Heat Check Live Beat Review Show. I'm your host, Desmond A. If this is your first time here, you might be wondering, who is this guy? Why is he giving me feedback, and why should I trust his opinion? Well, my name is Desmond A. I've been producing music for over 12 years now. I have placements on E-Television, Sci-Fi, Bravo, different documentaries. I've interned at some of the biggest studios in Atlanta. I've worked with a lot of independent recording artists, rappers, singers. I've mixed an album before. I've done a little bit of a little bit, and just having all that perspective gives me a certain perspective being around, and that's why I'm here and I'm qualified to give you this feedback. And I still make beats and sell beats, so I'm still in the game with you guys. It's not like I've thrown my hat away. As a matter of fact, I have some beats I need to send out to some people and finish. So I am definitely in the field with you guys. And I want to shout out to the chat, and also the format here for the Heat Check. If this is your first time here, what happens is the free submissions They go ahead and get about a minute and a half of playtime. If you want to have longer, you can do the VIP skip the line. The VIP skip the line is $10. So all you do is see the up top, DesmondASounds.com/VIP, and also pin in the chat. You'll see a link to the VIP skip the line where you can go ahead and select that, do that, skip the line, and then you also get your full beats played. So that's the benefit of the skip the line. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. And I want to say thank you once again to everybody in the chat, man. Yes. It's gonna be a great show. And I started the show a bit early because it's the 1-year anniversary special, and I knew that we were gonna have a nice big turnout, and you guys definitely showed up and showed out. So wanted to give us a little extra time to vibe out and cool out and, listen to some music. So once again, guys, as you hear the music, definitely take a note, write down some of your favorite producers, because at the end of the show, we're going to have an audience pick. Then I'm going to have my pick. And then that's how we're going to do the 2 producers of the show to get the $50 Amazon gift cards, and hope you'll use that to invest in something like headphones or whatnot, but it's of course your money to spend. So let's go ahead and get into FL Studio. All right. Make sure I'm coming in loud and clear. All right. So let's go ahead and get started from the tip top. Let me make sure I have my notepad here so I can keep track of everything. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started here. First producer of the night, we have Trep World with Astral Haze. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and play this beat and mute my mic. So let's go ahead and take a listen. All right.
Trep World.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Trep Life with Astral Haze. So shout out to you, Trep Life. Please continue to submit right here on the Heat Check. Now, Trep Life. Make sure I'm not coming in too loud. Trep Life. That was a shout out to you, Phoenix Official Beats. I see you in the chat. Now, Trep Life. I saw the direction you were going in with the synth sounds, especially in the intro. But as the beat started to progress and go more and more, it's like the drums didn't really have a real focus. It kind of felt like you were able to nail the synths in the beginning, but as the beat started to progress, it kind of felt like you kind of phoned in what you were doing with the drums. And I don't mean that as an insult. I just mean that as you might have been in the position like, I just want to get through the drums real quick. And that happens, but it's gonna mess with the feel of the entire beat. So what I want you to do is I want you to listen to those producers who you are inspired by and remake their drums, literally flat out. Drop drop their beat, maybe one or two beats of a producer that you really like, get into your DAW and just flat out kick, snare, hi-hat, and listen to the bounce, listen to the groove, and listen to how everything plays off the instrumentation. Um, Not only that, I also heard some of your volume balancing was a bit off. Some of the sounds were just popping out a little too much. Another a trick that I like to do for that, are my sounds balanced, is to listen to my beat at a low volume, a medium volume, and a loud volume. And then I'll go low, medium, high, and then I'll listen. And if anything is poking out just a little too much where it's imbalanced, I know that I can pick it out, point it out, and okay, I need to pull that conga sound just down just a little bit. Okay, it feels balanced there, it feels balanced medium, it feels balanced loud. So some of you guys crank up your beats real loud and you think it's fire, but you don't notice certain elements are just poking out a bit too much. So, definitely do that, and that's gonna help your beats out. So shout out to you, Trap Life, and thank you so much for submitting on the heat check. All right. And it looks like we have another submission here by Trep Life. Before I get to the submission by Trep Life, I want to remind you guys to go to DesmondASounds.com to get free loops, free guides, free FL Studio Patcher plugins. Guys, my FL Super Clipper is a game changer. I'll put it up against the stock soft clipper any day. It is fire. It is fire. It's fire. And if you're not an FL Studio user, make sure you check out some of those free loops on the website. All right, so let's go ahead and get into Trep Life's second submission of the day. This one's called Quodorat. Okay, Quodorat. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, and give my feedback. So let's take a listen.
Trap World. That was Trep Life with Quodorat. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. All right. I appreciate that, the introvert. All right, Yolando, we got Yolando in the house. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for joining the Heat Check. 1 year anniversary special. 1 whole year, 365 days of grind. Shout out to y'all for making this possible. All right, now back to the review. So Trap World. One of the first things so I like the drums on that beat much better. The drums definitely it had a nice bounce. It had a nice groove to it. I like the synths, but one thing that I was hearing was things felt a little bit cluttered in the mix. And it felt to the point that I'm a little confused on if your drums just aren't punching hard enough, or if there's frequencies in your mix that are kind of masking where the kick should really be punching and where the clap should really be, shining. It could be one of the two things. Either A, you need to take out some frequencies around the area, or maybe even lower the volume on some of those sounds a little bit. Make sure there's a little more punch. I'm thinking, now that I'm speaking out loud, I'm thinking your sounds you may need to just have better sounds, maybe even stack your sounds, put them together to just make them punch a bit harder. And I think that's gonna do it. I didn't hear too much like real 200 hertz build up in there, 200, 400 hertz, 200, 300 hertz build up. I didn't hear that too much. So that kick should have at least been punching. So I'm thinking you just need to add a better kick and a better snare or better clap. But also watch that cluttering, all that cluttering with those synths. And what you can do with those synths is a lot of just slight panning can open up a whole new world of space. A lot of people don't know that. I didn't know that until I met with an engineer this was years ago. And then I would just sit down and watch him work with just different independent artists. And I noticed just the slightest pan, which is, I'm like, wow, now we have all this space, but you just panning like that, like 20%. And then you finding another sound and pan and get another 20% and making sure it's balanced. Now we have more space in the beat. I wasn't aware of that until I saw that. So with all these synths, you may want to do that. Yeah. And yeah, other than that, good beat. I just want more. I want more space and better drums, and then we'll be good to go. So yeah. So shout out to you. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. Oh yeah. Yes. Phoenix Official Beats. Yes. Parallel compression. Parallel compression is definitely something I should do more of. I should do more parallel compression. So I'm guilty of that myself. Sometimes when I'm doing my beats, I'm balance them out, do my little tricks that I do with some of my plugins. But sometimes I should take a bit of time to do parallel compression, because parallel compression, man, is underrated. And what I like to do is I like to do parallel compression. I like to create a drum bus, and then I like to create another like duplicate drum bus, and then use parallel compression and just like blend it in. So I'm just like thickening up the drums, like the kick, the snare, the hi-hats, and then I'll just blend it in together. But yeah, it adds that like that extra layer, that extra layer that just more detail to it. So yeah, I should definitely do that more. So that's a good call out from Phoenix. What's going on, Monly Beats? Shout out to you. I appreciate that. This is a win for the community. 1 year, man. This has been a lot of work, a lot of highs, a lot of lows, but I'm here for y'all. All right. Moving forward, we have Voteezy with Action. All right, guys, and keep in mind for everyone who just showed up, I want you guys to write down some of your favorite producers of the show. I'm going to have my pick. You guys have your pick. My pick is going to get the $50 Amazon gift card, and your pick is going to get the $50 gift card. So we're doing a community-based choice and then personal choice for me as the host. That's how we're going to do it. So just keep in mind some of those producers that you think are extra fire. So let's go ahead and move forward. So moving forward is Voteezy. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, then give my feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
Voteezy, baby.
ladies and gentlemen, that was Voteezy with Acting. All right. Shout out to you, Voteezy. Thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. Now, there's something here I wanted to listen to one more time. Give me 1 second, guys.
So teasy, baby.
All right. I'm back. Shout out to you, Voteezy. Thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. Now, Voteezy, it's definitely a good beat. Strong mix, man. I like that. I like the mix, man. You were able to get the kick punching hard. You were able to get that snare right. Just nice, clean, snappy pop. I like that. I like when producers are able to do that. It tells me that you know how to create space for your drums and still allow the music to flow. So you're good at sound selection. That being said, at the beginning I heard like a weird little like effects flub. I'm not quite sure what that was around here. Maybe it's just something you was doing with one of your effects. It kind of created a little weird flub. Also, when I was listening to the beat, there was something going on with like some type of instrument that you have. I'm not quite sure what that was. It's like this weird, airy pad type thing going on. Almost thought there might have been some type of accident that happened, but it's like if you're aware of what mid information is and side information is when it comes to mixing, you know, the side information, if you're aware of that with mid-side EQs, it sounded like something that's like, it's like a lot of side information is going on, which tells me that when you made the beat, you might have been blasting it on like probably some good studio monitors, but your room might not be totally treated where you might have missed hearing that like airy kind of sound. To me, it just kind of threw me off a little bit. So kind of watch that if you're going to listen back to that beat, like put on some headphones. I'm not sure if you want to maybe use like a mid-side EQ to kind of tame that and kind of tuck it in, because it sounded almost like a mistake. It was like airy. I'm like, is there something happening? And we don't want to do that. We want the listener to be totally into the beat and totally feel the beat. We don't want things to kind of throw off their energy. And, you know, I've told this before, I'm going to say it again. Guys, you don't want the feeling of being in a studio, especially, you know, pull up to one of the big studios, like maybe Patchwork or, Tree Sounds or whatever, big studios in Miami or Dallas or whatever, and then have a producer's beat who's not as good as yours get picked over your beat, which is way more fire, which happens. And the reason it happens is because the artist is looking at things from their artist's perspective, their artist eyeball. They're listening for pockets, and maybe their beat doesn't quite beat as hard as yours, but they're totally into it and they look at it as a canvas. And Voteezy, I wouldn't want that airy sound to kind of throw off an artist, and then, you know, you be in the studio like, why did they pick that other person's beat? My beat is way harder. You know, that happens. So that's why I'm calling that out. But good beat nonetheless. Fire drums, good mix. And shout out to you, Voteezy. All right. Moving forward, we have another submission from Voteezy. This one is called Last $2. All right. I'm going to go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, and give my feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
To hear me some blues, gotta hear me some blues. She said I wouldn't be alright. 'Cause 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 'c
Came out swinging. Our guy Voteezy. Shout out to you, Voteezy. Thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. You know, Voteezy, that's an easy way to get me, man. A nice soul sample with some nice hard drums, whether they be snappy boom bap drums or Justice League live drums or, you know, whatever. Man, that's an easy way to get me, man. That's how you mix a sample with drums. See, he was able to tuck back some of the information, the detail of the sample, but still make the melodic elements audible to the ear so the artist can put their voice on it. Us as a listener, we could feel the drums and we could still feel the sample. It's not super lo-fi or super low pass filtered. It's still present and the drums are snapping hard, man. That's how you do it, man. I rock with that, man. All right, so guys, Voteezy came out swinging. So let's go ahead and move forward to our next producer. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next producer looks like it's Isaac J with Redemption. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, and give my feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen. Man, y'all did not come to play today, did y'all, man? Y'all did not come to play, man. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Isaac J with Redemption. Shout out to you, Isaac J. Thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. So, Isaac J, definitely a fire beat. I like the horns. I like the bounce of the drums. Man, this beat really shouldn't be difficult to sell to an artist, man. I feel like this beat is like a laydown. You just come up with a clean hook. They could play this, you know, kind of has that HBCU band kind of feel. It's, you know, I think it should be a pretty easy beat to sell to a recording artist. So, you know, you definitely shouldn't have any problems there having a song made to it. One thing that I was hearing in that beat, though, is the horns had a little bit, it was like a sizzle and like the real high end of the horns. And it made it feel, it pushed me out of the beat just a little bit. So just kind of, if I can get for you to just grab an EQ and literally just hit that sizzle, the sizzle of those horns real quick, you should just be able to knock that out quick and easy. Should take you like literally a couple seconds. Like, just do it here real quick. It'd be nice if I played it. see, when I did that, it sounded better. I could even do more. It sounded better. I would maybe even put on like the Waves tape plugin on that. Part of the reason why I said that is because if you, it kind of gave it a more analog sound whenever I kind of did a little bit of shelving on the top end, gave it kind of like that warmer analog sound. You know, you want that, that DJ Toomp and, Manny Fresh kind of sound with those horns. They're playing in like the Roland Phantom and the Korg Triton, Korg Trinity. We could still have more of an analog sound. That sizzle was just a little bit too much, but still fire beat nonetheless. Once again, you're definitely going to be able to easily get that off to a recording artist. So shout out to you, Isaac J. Thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have another submission here from Isaac J. This one is called Carl Anthony Towns. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, and give my feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Isaac J with Carl Anthony Towns. Shout out to you, Isaac J. Thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. For that beat, the artist I was actually thinking of was Mac Miller, and RIP to Mac Miller, very talented artist. But just something about that kind of gave me that Blue Slide Park era Mac Miller kind of vibe. So yeah, I could definitely, maybe if there's a recording artist out there who has a similar energy as Mac Miller, maybe you can hit them up. Do you guys know any artists who are similar to Mac Miller out there these days? I'd be glad to know. Matter of fact, I actually interviewed one of Mac Miller's producers on the Made in the Studio podcast. His name is Drew's That Dude, aka Andrew Lloyd. So make sure you guys checked out that episode if you didn't have a chance to watch that one. Very, very informative episode. Make sure you check that out right here on my YouTube channel. Just click on podcasts and you'll see Drew's That Dude. Other than that, of course, we would need to format this for a recording artist. But yeah, once we do that, we'd have to mute certain sounds, move certain things around, and then, make sure we have everything locked in. But overall, good vibe, very fun. And yeah, once again, we'd have to mute some things to get things structured for a recording artist. So other than that, good to go. Fire beat. Or also, if you like to possibly do some type of like instrumental project, I think something like that would also possibly fit an instrumental project. So you could do that as well. All right. Let's take a look here. All right. So it looks like we have a VIP skip the line. We have Big on the track with the VIP skip the line, man. So let me go ahead and get Big on the track pulled up. So that means I got to hit him with the
new VIP.
Shout out to you. All right, let's go ahead and get Big on the track here. All right. And as I get Big on the track pulled up here on the Heat Check, I want you guys once again to go to DesmondASounds.com to get free FL Studio Patcher plugins, free loops, free guides, everything that you need. All right, let's make some space here. And I don't see you guys mentioning any artists similar to Mac Miller. I guess he was a one of one. So let's go ahead and pull up Big on the Track here. I do a VIP. Big on the Track. VIP. All right. All right. All right. I'm almost done, guys. Y'all just hang out. And as I get this set up, if you guys, shout out some new albums that you guys like, some new recording artists out there that, all of us can check out. I'm definitely down to check out some new music. My playlist definitely has a lot of older music. I was listening to Future's Dirty Sprite 2 at the gym today, which is an old album. So definitely check out some new stuff. All right. It looks like we are good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Big on the Track with the VIP Skip the Line. We have Never Gave Up with Hook. All right. We're going to go ahead and play this whole thing since it's a VIP Skip the Line. I'm going to go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, and give my feedback. So let's take a listen.
I'm struggling with myself and I know I'll keep on trying. Let me step in now and I hope we can fire. I'm struggling with myself and I know I'll keep on trying.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Big on the Track with a
New VIP.
new VIP submission on the Heat Check, man. Skip the Line. You played that fire beat, man. So yeah, Big on the Track, great beat. Man, that beat to me, that beat just needs a songwriter on it. Honestly, the whole time I'm singing, coming up with different melodies, coming up with different harmonies. That beat honestly just needs a songwriter on it. When jump in the DMs. I tell everybody the DM game is a numbers game. You know, got to be consistent. It could take a while, but if you stay consistent, you know, people are going to start to respond back to you. But yeah, to me, that song, that beat just is perfect for a songwriter. So all you need to do is get a songwriter on that, and you'll be good to go. One other thing is the bass sound that you have on there is very clean. It sounds good. I'm not mad at it, but to me, I wanted a bass sound with a little more, I don't know, it had like a little more Moog-ish, like a little more, almost like a synth-like 808. I don't know if I have one in my, nah, that's too trappy. That 808 would be cool. I know I have a better 808 somewhere that would match that. Where is it? No. We're getting in the lane there somewhere. Like just a bass that kind of has a little more of a synth sound. Just something that it's not so clean. It puts me in the lane of almost like a Moog bass. I feel like that kind of would like blend the textures a bit more. As of right now, it just sounds really clean or really round, which, like I said, it's gonna work regardless. But it would just be cool to have like that type of bass, more of a Moog-ish kind of bass, like a less clean is what I'm trying to go for. But yeah, good beat, good bounce, good drum selection. Like Biggs on the track. I think you've submitted. Yeah, you have submitted before. Your sound just sounds polished. It sounds mature. I can tell that you know how to put things together. You're not just figuring it out. So shout out to you. Shout out to you. Big on the track. Okay, you guess what I'm trying to say. Perfect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have our second submission here from Big on the Track with Rejoice. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, and give my feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
You understand that Orlando's beats are getting harder each day, okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Big on the Track with Rejoice. Shout out to you, Big on the Track, and thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. Yes, Monly Beats, you are right, man. Man, y'all came in kicking the door. You know, 1 year anniversary, you was like, let's do it right. So I shout out to all the producers who submitted today. So yeah, Big, definitely a fire beat. I like the way you had the sample and the drums on top of that. How you did that, man, is very similar to how I think that putting together those southern drums with the sample in the background. And I like the way you created the space for the drums and everything came in really good. One thing I could say about your beats, Big on the Track, your beats are very artist friendly. And I've said this before. I made this. Now remember, I did make this. I picked up on this on one of your previous submissions, man. Your beats are artist friendly. It's easy for artists to like make songs to your stuff. So, you know, Big, I don't know if you have a YouTube type beat channel or BeatStars, but if you don't, man, make sure you're just putting stuff out there. So and so type beat. You know, people are definitely going to gravitate towards your stuff. There's nothing in the way of an artist actually creating a song to your stuff. That being said, on this particular beat, one thing that I noticed was just the kick and the 808 were just a tad bit loud. Let's just pull them down just a little bit. I could kind of hear that 808 kind of starting to, it felt like it was hitting digital distortion. So just watch that. Let's just pull it down just a tad bit. I feel like it's going to make things feel more balanced, you know? And that's pretty much it. Just go ahead and pull those two things down. The kick and the bass. I know we wanted to punch hard, but just pull them down a little bit, just a smidge, and I think you're gonna recognize that it's gonna be much more balanced. But yeah, that's it, man. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. You're welcome, man. You're very much welcome. All right. Moving forward. All right, we have Phoenix Beats with Juice WRLD type beat. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, and give my feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Phoenix Beats with Juice WRLD type beats. So shout out to you, Phoenix, and thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. All right. So Phoenix Beats, man, good vibe with the guitar. Definitely was getting like summer vibes. It remind me of like being on the beach, you know, walking on the beach, looking around and feeling the sand, smelling the air. You know, it took me to a place. That being said, there was a couple of sound selection things that I was hearing. For one, the kick that you're using really didn't have much power behind it. I just want you to have a stronger kick. Let me see if I have a kick here. Let's see. Got so many freaking sounds. No. That's an okay kick, but I just want to like just a punchier kick. I don't want to go. Yeah. Let's see if I can find it. Nah. Maybe something like that. Just something punchier. I just needed more power behind that kick. Also, the 808s that you had going on, they were like Wheezy out of here 808s. I felt like that could work. Those Wheezy 808s could work. Another thing that was throwing me off about the 808s were that they were out of key, especially that do 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 do. Those are out of key. So one thing I always recommend to you guys is when you're in a beat, especially a real melodic beat like this, just go ahead and pitch up those 808s an octave. Listen, if you need to pitch them up another octave on your piano roll, listen. And then once you listen, it's much easier for your ear to pick up whether or not something that sounds like a bell is in key or out of key. So, almost never run into an out of key bell. So, do that to check yourself. Okay, I need to move this down a step. I need to move this down 2 steps. Then you can go ahead and push it down an octave and then push it down into the correct octave. Because a melodic beat like this with out of key 808s kind of really, it kind of throw things off. It's not like it's a hard trap beat where there's a little room for dissonance. A melodic beat like this definitely needs to be locked in. So just, watch that. Also, in the beat, when you had the little snare break, a little further on in the beat, or it's like a little break where a snare was hit. That part, the snare was a little bit off rhythm. It was a little bit off. And typically, I'm not saying this is what happened, but typically when I've seen this happen, it's that the sample is not really chopped right, or it's not really going with the metronome. So make sure you're listening to the guitar with the metronome on, and then if the guitar sample is going with the metronome, then 10 times out of 10 the drums that you add to that loop or to that guitar loop or to that sample is going to be locked in time. So typically the culprit of out of sync drums is the sample itself. We need to do something with the sample because it's maybe having a life of its own, and we need to just take a second, chop it, maybe do a little time stretching, and then the snare will be locked in where it needs to be. Because I don't think that you would have the beat and then just the snare would just be off unless you did the snare without the quantize on and you were just freehanding it. But 10 times out of 10, the loop is the culprit. We need to listen to it with the metronome. So yes, and it's easy. It's easy to do. Trust me, it's easy to run into that issue. But yeah, shout out to you, Phoenix. This beat has a lot of potential, man, especially as the summertime rolls around, to just make those fixes. I'm thinking you could still use that Wheezy 808. I would maybe swap it out for a Spins 808 and then see, but you're going for a Juice WRLD vibe, so I would need to hear the 808s in key first to really make a good assessment. But yes, shout out to you. All right, moving forward, we have Evan Beats with, was that Shatta? All right, or Shooter, one of the two. All right. Looks like a very loud beat by, okay. Very loud beat. It looks like I have no dynamics, but I'm not going to judge. Let's go ahead and actually listen to the music. Let's listen to what our ears tells us, not our eyes tells us. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Evan Beats with Shooter. All right. So let's go ahead and take a listen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Evan Beats with Shooter. Thank you so much for submitting Evan Beats right here on the Heat Check. Now, Evan, the first thing is, of course, what I pointed out. This beat has no dynamics. It's just a brick. So it tells me you're driving your bass all the way into the mixer. There's no headroom. There's no breathing room. It's literally not going anywhere. So let's not just let everything run into the red here in our mixer. Let's leave some stuff in the green. Certain things need to be quiet in order for certain other things to be perceived as louder. So we need some contrast between sounds. Everything can't just be blasted and hard. And I know what sounds you were going for. It sounds like you're trying to lean into that Playboy Cardi kind of sound, but the execution you didn't hit the target. It's just everything was loud and aggressive and brittle to the ears, and we want to do things in an ugly, pretty way, in an artistic way. So listen to the producers that you like who produce for Cardi or whatever, Destroy Lonely, whatever artist that you want to produce for in the future, and listen to their beats, listen to their music. If you can find the instrumentals, try to find the instrumentals, and listen as a student. Listen critically. Listen to where that bell is right there. That bell has a reverb and a delay. What does this sound? What does that sound? And then learn your tools. And your tools are simply a means for you to execute a certain process and reach a certain end goal. So don't skip steps. Understand your tools, and then that's going to help you reach your final point of getting to that style of beat that you're looking to execute. But shout out to you, Evan Beats, and thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. All right. Moving forward, we have another submission here by Evan Beats. This one is called Sky. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, and give my feedback. So let's take a listen.
There's no way I'm beating everything.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Evan Beats with Sky. Shout out to you, Evan Beats, and thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. Now, Evan Beats, that was another one. The bass really took over everything in the mix, and I could tell you're going for that Cardi sound. I heard that you have the Cardo Got Wings kind of drum bounce, and I'm not saying that to compare anyone to anyone, but that's just what it is. It's that Cardo drum bounce that I'm hearing there. I think this beat has some potential for that lane that you're going for. Once again, we want to execute this thing in a more accurate way. I know what you're going for, but we need to execute it in a more accurate way. So once again, let's understand mixing a bit more, understanding mostly dynamics is what I'm hearing. You're able to get the sounds that you want. You got the drums. Everything is kind of covered up. Like your sounds are kind of covering up everything because everything is so loud. So let's just start with some of the fundamentals of volume balancing. Understanding where you want your kick to be, where you want your 808 to be. Because to me, it sounds like you're just going crazy, making a beat, and then just cranking everything up in the mixer, letting it hit red, and then just being like, okay, let me bounce it down, which some people do, but we just need to learn more of like just basic mixing, man, because I think this beat executed well can go somewhere. So don't let go of this beat. You might want to come back to this beat later. Just learn some of your basic mixing practices and you'll be good to go. Especially like headroom. you're blaring your stuff straight into the mixer, and it's a lot of digital distortion. So, moving forward, and sorry, let me say thank you to you, Evan Beast, for submitting right here on the Heat Check. So, shout out to you. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is the 1 year anniversary show where I'm giving out 2 Amazon gift cards to the 2 top producers of the show. So make sure you guys are keeping notes on your favorite picks. I'm going to put up a poll, and then you guys can vote, and then I'll have my pick. So I'll have my pick, then we'll have a community pick, and then give out the gift card for you, and then for my choice. So that's how we're going to do it. So we're going to have 2 winners at the end of the show. Moving forward, we have Millie Beats with Don't Matter. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, and give my feedback. So let's take a listen.
God damn, Millie, you bad.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Millie Beats with Don't Matter. All right. Shout out to you, Millie Beats, and thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. Now, Millie Beats, man, that beat was really, really polished, man. That one, I felt like you really got your compression right. Things, sometimes I would hear your sounds kind of like fading away here and there and whatnot. And on some of your past submissions, some of your sounds would like start fading in and out, but that one was really got everything nice and clean, nice in its place. And yeah, man, you play this for YG. I know you want a YG placement, Millie. You know, you never know if he hears this beat. I think he'll definitely want to jump on it. Yeah, man. As far as any kind of constructive feedback, Millie, it was a really good beat. Just kind of check for how you want to feel between the verse and the hook, or the hook getting back into the verse. So I always tell you guys to rap out loud to yourself, you know, just mumble to yourself. Like, you notice I always mute my mic when I'm listening to you guys' music because I want to hear my voice on the beat. So do that and see if you don't want to maybe bring certain elements back in a little bit earlier to just like, boom, have a little bit more impact. That helps me out a lot. Rapping out loud, singing out loud to, do I want to mute this sound? Do I want to add this sound? Do I want to move this out to the outro? What do I want to do? And rapping out loud, singing out loud definitely is going to help. So just kind of check that and see if you might want to change anything in the kind of the structure of the beat. But shout out to you, Millie Beast, and look like Millie Beast in the chat. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for your submission. All right. Okay, yep. So you was gonna ask about the beat structure. Yeah, when I was listening, I kind of felt like there were certain parts where I felt like the boom, the kick could have came back in. You kind of kept it on that, you know, the West Coast, just, you know, the hi-hat and the clap. Felt like maybe like there's certain parts were like 4 bars earlier. You could have dropped the bass back in, the kick back in. Like I think it was here I was listening to. Yeah, like right there, I was kind of feeling like the kick should have came back in. So, you know, it's kind of it's your call. You know, if you are a rapper, would you know where what's what? Would you know where the hook is? Would you know where the verse is? Are you able to find it? You know, sometimes rappers they work with what they have. They just get into the studio and then they'll tell the engineer like, hey, in Pro Tools, just go ahead and I want to move those four. I want to move that right there, and I want to take that 4 and I want to move it over there. But we really don't want to depend on that. We want to make things as easy as possible for the artist. So, you know, just kind of keep that in mind. One thing I've seen other producers do on like their tight beat channels these days is they actually put like timestamps on the hook and the verse and the bridge and things like that. So the artists, when they're looking at it on YouTube, they'll know what's what and what's where. So I guess that, you know, that's the thing some people do to make it even more apparent for the artist where their parts are. So, you know, different strokes for different folks, whatever works. All right. Moving forward, we have Millie Beats with Legacy. All right. I'm going to go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, and give my feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
God damn, Millie, you bad.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Millie Beats with Legacy. Shout out to you, Millie Beats, and thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. Now, Millie Beats, definitely good beat, has a good bounce. One thing that stood out to me on that beat was that lead sound that you had going on. One of two things. A, you can change that lead sound to something else. It just felt a little too, almost like not blended with the rest of the beat. You can try using a different lead sound, or you can try to find some type of effect on the lead sound and maybe pull down the volume of it a little bit, and it should just sit with the beat a bit more. It kind of felt like it was on the beat and not in the beat. So that was one of the main things. And also with the 808s that you had going in that beat, it felt like it kind of kept going and going. You can kind of find certain parts to mute the 808. I kind of felt like the 808 just kept coming at us. Kind of find little parts here and there to just mute it a little bit. And then we hear the kick, and then you can just drop the 808 back in because it's just like do, 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 do. you know, we need to create a little bit of tension every now and then with those 808s. But shout out to you, Millie Beats. All right. Shout out to you. Okay, moving forward, we have YDP Yolando with Reluctant Hope Isn't Belief. And guys, once again, please keep track of your favorite producers of the night. Write it down, have it listed somewhere, because at the end of the show, we're going to be giving out two $50 Amazon gift cards. Two $50 Amazon gift cards. I'll have my choice, then we'll have the community choice, and then both producers will get those gift cards right in time for Mother's Day. You know, maybe your mother makes beats too. You can use those $50 gift cards to get them a MIDI board or something like that. What am I talking about? Whose mom's going to use a MIDI board? I'm just talking right now. All right, moving forward. YDP Yolando with Reluctant Hope Isn't Belief. I'm going to go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, and give my feedback. So let's go ahead and take a listen. Ladies and gentlemen, that was YDP Yolando with Reluctant Hope Isn't Belief. Shout out to you, YDP Yolando, and thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. Now, YDP, there's a couple things going on here. Number one, like when the first beat started coming in, I was getting like kind of like Kanye vibes, and then it like kept going, and then we kind of started like changing a lot of different directions. So one thing that I'm hearing is like the beat needs more focus. It just needs to have a more of a clear direction. You know, sometimes in beats we can go from one style to the next, but it's more intentional. There's more of an intentional move, an intentional shift by the producer. And this feels, instead of that, it feels more like you're trying to find how you want the beat to work, and you're kind of just putting a lot of different things out there and kind of hoping that it works. So we need to like find a clear direction for the beat. You know, even if you're gonna, rap to it, sing to it, that can also help. Also critically listen to some of the producers that you look up to and how they're structuring their intro, the hooks, their outros, their, bridges. Are they adding sounds in? Are they taking sounds out? Why are they doing that? So sometimes as producers, we just listen purely still as music fans, as opposed to just like students and dissecting what the producer is doing, so we can take what that producer has done, the master of the craft, and then put into our mental toolbox to help us structure our own stuff. So always take that time to listen closely to what the producer is doing, and that can also help you find a focus and a clear direction for your production. Also in the beat, like you have the synth going, and there was a part where the notes were clashing. It's like we have the ding, 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 and then there was a part like it was like dun, 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 dun. And I don't know what that was, but it was clashing with the rest of the music. I don't know if it was like your delay was lingering, but it actually sounds like another instrument was just out of key and it was clashing against the main sound. So we definitely don't want to have dissonant sounds, clashing notes in our music. Also, speaking of finding a direction and finding a clear focus, I feel like we need to try to find a way to balance your sounds. It kind of felt like the synths were kind of engulfing the drums, and the drums felt a little bit muddy. So when we're mixing, we need to, over time, you're going to start to develop your own mixing process. So I can't really tell you what to do per se. All I can do is show you how I do things. And one thing is you can like use your kick or your snare as kind of like your grounding wire, your North Star. So I like to keep my kicks around like negative 12, negative 5, 15, right around here. And then I know that I'm working everything around that. So I know my snare or my rim shot is going to be down here. I know all my synths and my samples and everything like that. Everything is going to be, everything needs to fit what I already have there. So if I already have my kick sitting right in the mix, and I have my snare sitting right in the mix, I know that I'm pulling my synth down, listening to how it works with the kick. If the kick starts to get unclear, I know I need to do a little EQ scoop around the frequency range where my kick is. If I'm adding a string and it starts to muddy things up, then I know maybe I need to do a little bit of panning just to open up some space. I might be kind of talking over your head a little bit, but in a nutshell, in simplified terms, we need to find a way to balance your sounds a bit more because they're kind of all over the place. So we need to find a way to control things and balance things. So that's an entire learning process on mixing beats. So shout out to you, YDP Yolando, and thank you so much for submitting on the heat check. All right, moving forward, we have a second submission from YDP Yolando here tonight. This one's called Candy Gaze. Candy Guys? Candy Gaze? All right. Shout out to you. We're going to go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, and give my feedback. So let's take a listen. Ladies and gentlemen, that was YDP Yolando with Candy GAZ. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Thanks so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. Now, YDP Yolando. I feel like that beat, especially the drums, they were much more cleaner, much more focused. I can hear them. The melody that you had going was kind of one dimensional. We want to work on just having more emotions in your melody. So, you might have liked that chord progression. You might have just liked the way it sounded. You liked the way it felt, but it just felt like it didn't really move me anywhere emotionally. So you can have the same chord progression and evoke different emotions with that same chord progression. Do you need to maybe experiment with just a different sound? Do you need to maybe need to add some melodies on top of it? Like let's say you find a pad on VST like Pigments or Serum, and you're like, instead of don 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 don, it's like, you can use the same chord progression, use a different sound that pulls out more emotions from the listener, and then you add another sound on top of it. So we need to just, find a way to just get a little bit better at melody making. For me personally, the way that I got better from just making melodies was just learning basic songs right here on my trusted keyboard here. Just finding popular songs, finding YouTube tutorials, and then I would just set my timer, use online-timer.com, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and just do things consistently. Then over time, you just get better at doing things when you do it consistently over time. So, learn some of your favorite songs, start with the basics, and that's just going to help inform your ears on, getting better at melody making. So shout out to you, YDP. Thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. All right. You are welcome, Millie. I see you and the Introvert are kicking game with each other, chopping it up with each other. So that's all good. Make sure you two network, follow each other, and, help each other grow as well. All right. And speaking of the Introvert, we have the Introvert right here now. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, we have the Introvert with We Did It. All right. I'm going to go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, and give my feedback. So let's take a listen. ladies and gentlemen, that was The Introvert with We Did It. Shout out to you, The Introvert. Thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. Now, The Introvert, man, good beat, good vibes, good energy. You know, I like the way that beat felt. One thing I'm hearing with this beat is if you could pitch this beat to not only a reggaeton artist, pitch this beat to even like an R&B songwriter. So I don't know if you guys have Instagrams, but just people are way more receptive to speaking with people if you just, hey, what's going on? I like your work. You could just message them and say, hey, you know, I make a similar style, or I make some music that I think you could work with. You know, is it cool if I email you? Always ask for permission first and then send the email. But you'll be surprised at whose email you can get just by doing something like that. And I'm thinking even as maybe a pop writer or someone whose page you go to who isn't obviously somebody you're like, I mean, maybe they wrote a song for like Summer Walker, or they wrote a song for Mariah the Scientist or something like that. You're like, they don't do reggaeton. You'd be surprised at how broad some of these songwriters' musical palette is. They just found success in one particular lane, and you won't really know that until you reach out. So The Introvert, please get on there, look for those songwriters. You know, if you find a popular songwriter, look at who they're following, and then you can find who they're following, and then people like to talk about themselves in the bio, so it's easy to find a little circle of songwriter. These people, you know, all go to like same studios and stuff like that. They all kind of kick it with each other, so you can find like people by looking at who they're following. So that's a little tip right there for you guys out there. A little tip. All right. Other than that, The Introvert, one thing I was hearing on that beat, you could do this. What I want is on that beat, I like your bass that you have going on is good. I think we can get it to cut just a little bit more if you add just a small, and I mean, it's just a little bit of saturation to that bass. And I mean a little bit. You might even have to use the mix knob on a decent saturation plugin. I know a lot of you guys like the Fab Filter saturator, just a little bit. And I mean a little bit. Like if you put it on and then you mute it, then you put it on, then you put it on, put the plugin on, then you bypass it. It shouldn't be a big major difference. It should just be a little bit of extra cut. It should just cut through the mix a little bit more. So, you know, a lot of you guys like the Fab Filter, Saturn, Waves has a whole bunch of like little saturator plugins. Sound Toys has saturators. Yeah, just a kiss. And I think you'll be surprised at how much more present and how your bass starts to separate from all the other elements in your beat. And it's just like, whoa, it did all that just by adding a kiss of saturation. And yes, it does all that. So yes, you are welcome, The Introvert. You're welcome. You're welcome. Also on your kick that you have going on, I know those reggaeton kicks, they drive hard, they beat hard. Kind of watch some of those, I wouldn't say like high mid-range frequencies on the kick. I just don't want it to start to agitate the listeners. And let me see if I can be a little more detailed. Let me play it a little bit, play it again. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm thinking like right around. It's right here in this like 2,000, almost 3,000, like 2,000 to 3,000 range. And the kick, kind of watch that. You might just do like a nice little, just a soft dip. And we're not going to really change the character of the kick. We're just kind of softening up and taming like a little bit of a resonant frequency that's kind of poking out. It's just going to poke out even more if someone's really driving it into their headphones or driving it into the speakers. To kind of watch that sound. Yes, yeah, Decapitator, that'll work. Yep, Decapitator will work. Radiator, I don't think Radiator is gonna do what we want to do. I like Radiator to make things kind of sound a little more dusty and analog, but yeah, the Decapitator will work. Just a little bit, just kiss it, just a little bit. That didn't sound right. Just put a little bit of it on the bass. Whoa. All right. So shout out to you, the introvert. Shout out to you. And thanks so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. All right. We're getting down to the wire. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please write down and remember your favorite producers of the night, favorite producer of the night. We have the community choice. Then we'll also have my choice. And both producers will get that $50 gift card, Amazon gift card. And hopefully they'll use that to invest in something, you know, maybe that could help with some new headphones. It could help with the new audio interface, you know, all these little gadgets that we have in the studio all over the place. You know, anything counts. So we're going to definitely do that. All right, moving forward, we have Dancing Mane with A Syrup-Soaked Soul. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, and give my feedback. So let's take a listen.
Drillest in the game.
That was Dancing Mane with A Syrup-Soaked Soul. So shout out to you, Dancing Mane. Thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. Man, Dancing Mane came through with the R&B, coming through with the R&B, the trap soul on a night like this, man. What you trying to do, man? Come on, man. But yeah, man, Dancing Mane, of course, good beat. I was able to get the Dancing Mane vibe without everything being so connected to your underground hip hop sound. So you typically have that underground hip hop sound. I felt like you were able to kind of push it away a little bit to get your R&B, your trap soul bag a bit more. And, you know, you were able to execute that well. Only piece of feedback I really have is, you know, when we get back, when we get back to the intro and the hook, we just have the sample playing, sometimes you could pull the volume of the sample down just a bit lower, just a taste bit lower, or you could put a little more of a low pass filter on it, so it creates this nice contrast. So it's the dun, 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 boom, then it's up here, then the kick hits, and we're like, oh snap, and we'll pull it into the music a bit more. But it was like closer to each other, so you could pull it down just a little bit, so we have a little bit more of a contrast, and it could really just have more of an impact. But shout out to you, Dancing Man. Thank you so much for submitting on the heat check. So Millie in the chat, you're asking, oh, and you are welcome, the introvert, you are welcome. Millie in the chat is asking, which is better to buy, a laptop or a desktop computer? Good question. If you're going to be on the move, of course, I would say a laptop. Laptops these days are very, very powerful. You could take them with you on cookups and whatnot, or maybe just with friends or family, you're bored or something. You can just whip out your laptop, chop some sounds, put some sounds together. You know, it's something about the mobility of having a laptop. I would say only a desktop is really, in my opinion, if you feel like you're going to constantly be stationary, like you're always going to be in the same place. Like maybe if you decide you want to record artists, you decide you want to do content. Of course, you can do everything from a laptop, but a desktop, I feel like you can probably, with this close to the same price, you can get more power, more energy. Like I'm using a Mac Mini right now, which is kind of considered a mini desktop to a certain extent, because I'm mostly stationary. I don't take my Mac Mini to the studio and things like that. So yeah, so I would say it's mobility versus power, which is more important to you. And once again, laptops are very strong these days, so it's kind of a judgment call between what is more important for you and your life and how you move as a producer. So that's how I answer that question. All right, moving forward, we have Dancing Man with Kiss Me in the Void. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play this beat, mute my mic, and give my feedback. So let's take a listen. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dancing Main with Kiss Me in the Voice. Shout out to you, Dancing Main. Thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. Now, Dancing Main, that was a good beat, good sample choice. The thing is, with this beat, I felt like you had the main sample without the drums. It was a bit loud and it was a bit harsh. I feel like you definitely could have added a low pass filter to soften it up. And then once we got back into the beat, we can have everything banging. Also, the octave of the 808 you had was it was a real high octave. It's like boo. Like the first 808 is good. Let me see. Like come on, what am I doing? All right. I feel like having those 808s in that higher octave like that felt a little bit awkward. I feel like we needed to have that 808 lower, so you might just need to go ahead and push it down an octave, or maybe not totally an octave. Yeah, just experiment with that. It's just like it was a little too high pitched. It just felt a little awkward. But other than that, yeah, those were my two main pieces of feedback. We needed to soften up the sample a bit more to create contrast and just be more pleasing on the ears. And then when the 808 comes in, then we need to keep it in a lower octave. But shout out to you, Dancing Main. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for submitting right here on the Heat Check. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is the moment of truth. It is time to give two producers the Amazon $50 gift card. Now, this is how we're going to do it. So, guys, let me know if there's any particular beat that you want to hear, like maybe a few seconds of again. Maybe you need a refresher. You know, maybe it's like, okay, I like that producer's beat, but I want to hear that one again. Let me know if there's a particular producer that you just want to hear again. Okay, I just want to hear that. I want to hear that beat one more time because I'm not quite sure. You know, let me know if there's a particular one. So just let me know. Let me know in the chat right now. If not, it's cool. We can start the voting process. So let me know. Do 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 do. All right. We'll give y'all guys a couple seconds. And while I'm waiting, guys, once again, make sure you go to DesmondASounds.com. Free loops, free FL Studio patcher plugin, free guides, everything that you need. Okay, so it looks like Molly wants to hear a little bit of the Voteezy track. So let's just hear a little bit of that. He wants to hear a little bit of that. Let's see. All right, let's play this.
Not gonna lose. These lies you down. Not gonna lose. One going from a bus stand. She said I wouldn't be.
All right. So that was a little bit of the Voteezy track. All right. So, okay. So, okay. So it looks like we can. And somebody said, Millie says the penultimate beat. He wants to hear the penultimate beat. Where is that at? I don't think I recall that. Penultimate. Let's see. Am I tripping? I don't see penultimate beat. I'm not quite sure what you guys are referring to. Okay. So, guys. All right. So, I'm going to go ahead and put a vote, put a poll in the chat so we can have the community pick. We could be a little more scientific with it. So let's do a poll. Okay. Producer of the night, question mark. All right, we have Voteezy. Who else we have? Big on the track. And we have Dancing Main. All right. Let's see here. Let me see if we have any other votes for final contestants. So we have Voteezy, Big on the Track, and Dancing Main as the three top producers of the night. Is that we have? Okay. All right. All right, just checking. We're not missing nobody. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and start the poll. Let's see there. All right. So you guys can go ahead and vote right now in the chat. That should be up. Let's see if I can see everything here. All right, let's see. Let me pull this up on my other screen. Let's check. All right. Let's see here. Okay, I can see everything now. Okay, there you go. All right. All right, guys, we're going to give it, let's see here. Let's do 20 more seconds. Any last submissions? All right. And 3, 2, 1. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have the winner, Voteezy, producer of the night. Hopefully I spelled Voteezy correct. I think I did. So shout out to you, Voteezy, man. Shout out to you, Voteezy. All right. So we have Voteezy as the winner of the producer of the night. And then I already have my pick here. So have Voteezy and I have Big on the track. So it looks like we're right there in lockstep. So you can see my handwriting is terrible. So we're going to go ahead and give Voteezy and Big on the track. So Voteezy, you're going to get the $50 gift card, and Big on the track, you're going to get the $50 gift card. So y'all live it up. Y'all do it big. Congrats. Man, y'all showed up. Y'all showed out. Y'all showed up and y'all showed out, man. Sent that fire in. But man, we had a lot of fire beats this show, man. A lot of fire beats, man. You guys, all the other producers who, possibly didn't make it, just keep grinding. But it's this, man, y'all went crazy. Y'all went crazy. Y'all went crazy this show, man. So yes, Voteezy and Big on the track, I will be emailing you the gift card directly. I have your email addresses already. That's part of the reason why I structure everything the way I do. So I have things are private, so you don't get spammed by, nefarious actors. So you're gonna see the email come straight from me. I can get it to you tonight. So check your email within within an hour. Within an hour, you're gonna an hour and a half, about an hour and a half. You're gonna see an email from me tonight with the Amazon $50 gift card. You're going to see the email come from contact@DesmondABeats.com. Anything else is somebody not me. I have my business email, contact@DesmondABeats.com. Official, like a referee with the whistle. So, yes. Shout out to y'all, man. Well deserved, man. Well deserved. It's not like I was like, yeah. It was okay, man. We had a lot of fire, man. This was a very fun show, man. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the show. But once again, this is the 1-year anniversary show of the Heat Check. Been doing this weekly. Only skipped like maybe 2-3 shows, possibly like 2 or 3 shows over the year. Make it a point to show up for you guys, show up for the community. Also these days, especially on Wednesdays, I've been doing like tutorials and I do my shorts. I just always try to throw little nuggets of game. And of course, I'm going to be working on the podcast. So, working to get the got a lot of heavy hitters who want to do the podcast, but once again, working out the schedule and getting things in alignment is the challenge. But we're going to fight through it. I promise you guys at least 2 episodes a month. So I'm going to fight hard to get those 2 for May. But yeah, man, I had a lot of fun. Congratulations to the winners once again. This was a really fun Heat Check show. So yeah, guys, I will go ahead and open up the form for next Friday's show. And I'll make a YouTube community post. Once again, to the winners, I will be sending off your gifts. So guys, great show. Thank you so much for supporting me, making me feel excited to come to the show, man. When I started, I was nervous, this time last year, but now I look forward to the show. I'm excited. I'm like, yes, I get to show up. So guys, thank you so much for supporting the Heat Check. Thank you so much for supporting my podcast, my content all around. I could not do this without you guys. This is a community-based effort. So thank you guys so much. So guys, it is Friday. I hope you guys, if you're fortunate, you're able to spend time with your mother, you call them or whatever. It's Mother's Day weekend. But regardless, I want you guys to have a safe weekend, and I will see you guys next Friday on the Heat Check. We're probably going to do 9:30 show next Friday, but just stay tuned for that. So I will see you guys next Friday. Y'all have a safe and peaceful and prosperous weekend. I will see you guys next Friday. My name is Desmond A, and I'm out. I'll see you.